Hello everybody, I'm Sarah and I'm a recorder player. Recently I've been popping into the Amsterdam Conservatory to teach, and I found in one of the cupboards one of the earliest square Paetzold contrabass recorders in existence. Just like casually hanging out in a cupboard. Of course I had to try this out, and since then I've discovered something really mind-blowing about it. This is recorder history, so let's check it out. So what nobody knows is that at the Conservatorium in Amsterdam there is a secret recorder room full of all kinds of things. A library with hundreds of composers' manuscripts, posters from recorder festivals through the past decades. It's full of historical artifacts, if by history I mean recent contemporary recorder music. That's obviously very exciting for me. I want it to be exciting for you too. There's all kinds of instruments, and I found something very curious. They're different sizes, I wonder why. Oh, this is really cool. The A flat key is in a different place. It's underneath and it's got this little peg that you can feel. First of all, the plug here is round. That's a sign it's one of the older models. On top, Herbert Paetzold München. It really is an original Paetzold. And this logo here is just a literal sticker that someone's put on. Behind the keys, we have these pads. You can see that they are quite worn and also that they rotate. So they're kind of just, I don't know, screwed in there. And one of the most glaring things are the screws here. They're metal. I remember we had to put these metal washers in between to stop the screws damaging the gaskets and the main body of the recorder. And this is something that has obviously been made much nicer and more recorder friendly in recent years. Yes, the famous microphone hole. That is a hole that's been drilled into the Paetzold to put a microphone inside the instrument. I'd heard of this being done, but I hadn't seen it. For the rest in this box, there is not a mouthpiece. I'm just gonna try and put together and see if we can make something happen. The screws can be pushed inside the instrument, so you've got to keep them pressed out with the washers on the outside too. This is heavy, this is cumbersome. I'm glad they've improved this design. Who does this belong to? I believe it belongs to Walter van Hauwe. Walter I've had on the channel as well. Here we go. There is no mouthpiece. I'm just gonna have to blow into this hole. I didn't bring my own mouthpiece because I'm very clever. How'd you do this so you can see? The sound is so soft. You can't see my fingers, but I'm going to come a bit closer, so hopefully you can hear. Why is it so soft? I suspect that we've got leaks all over the place. The pads on this are all sticking and kind of crumbling off. Not bad for an instrument that's probably 50 years old. The lowest note I can get is a G, which is 6 fingers closed. I'm going to start on that and hear what happens if I go down to an F. Can we do the famous Paetzold? What's interesting is that when I overblow or articulate, rather than hitting higher harmonics, we just get wind sounds. So it's got less range of timbre, range of sound. So there we go. It's so special to have a prototype instrument in my hands, something that started off as an experiment, but over the decades has become an integral part of contemporary recorder playing, recorder orchestras, recorder ensembles. And if you play an instrument that was invented relatively recently, the saxophone, the electric guitar, imagine having one of the first ones in your hands and being able to play it. That's how it feels now. Actually, I hope I'm allowed to play it. This all got me thinking, where does this recorder really come from? I wrote to Walter van Hauwe because I suspected that this recorder belonged to him and to see if he could tell me anything more about it. And could he? Are you ready for some recorder history? Paetzold square bass recorders were introduced to the professional stage by Trio Sour Cream somewhere between 1973 and 75, thereabouts. Now, Sour Cream consisted of Walter van Hauwe, Kees Boeke and FRANS BRUGGEN. And at this time, they were basically reviving the recorder from scratch, creating the modern recorder scene. You couldn't even just buy recorder music. Most of the early editions we can get today hadn't yet been put together. The modern pieces obviously hadn't been composed. They were really treading uncharted territory. So in the 70s, Herbert Paetzold and his uncle Jorge Paetzold were developing these square bass recorders, but they were mainly active kind of on the amateur recorder circuit in South Germany. Give me a shout if you played there. Trio Sour Cream went to the south of Germany. They gave a concert organised by Herbert Paetzold, afterwards had some drinks. He showed them their instruments and they were like, wow. If you're asking, where does the idea for a square contrabass recorder come from? They're based on square Renaissance organ pipes, obviously. So the trio ordered 3 of these instruments and started performing and experimenting with them. Now, as we've heard, these early Paetzolds weren't yet concert ready like the instruments we know today. They were far too soft. They weren't as reliable. But luckily, the Paetzold company kept developing them. Composers got into them and now they are an integral part of the recorder world. Walter told me that one day FRANS BRUGGEN showed up playing a Japanese handheld synthesizer and they were like, electronics! We have to mic them up. So that's why you can see holes drilled into the early Paetzolds. They were putting in microphones, they were touring all over the world with cables and speakers and really just trying out everything they could. Here comes the information that has melted my mind. So Walter told me that in the conservatory there are actually 2 early Paetzolds. One of them belongs to Walter. I know the one I've been playing on this video isn't the Walter specific one because I played on that instrument a lot when I was a student. I didn't have my own Paetzold yet. And I know that instrument, this wasn't it. He said the other Paetzold was the one that belonged to FRANS BRUGGEN. I've just been casually playing on FRANS BRUGGEN's Paetzold recorder. But this is one of the many things I love about being a recorder player. Recorder history is right here. You can still talk to most of the people who have made all of these innovations happen. That's just amazing. And it always just blows me away whenever I contact anyone in the recorder world, anyone you've seen me collaborate with in all my videos, they're always so eager to tell these stories and generous with their time. So every single one of you recorder players who's been on here, thank you. Such a warm heart in this community. I've been posting about this on my Patreon page and I've also heard from quite a few of you in England who have these early Paetzolds in various recorder orchestras there too. So if you have one, you're recognising this, give me a shout. I love to track where they all are. And now the Paetzold name lives on. The Kunath company have taken over the Paetzold factory and are making amazing innovations 3D printed recorders, all these different sizes, different adjustments to make them really work well. I'm going to wrap it up here, but if you want to talk more nerdy recorder history with me, please do so in the comments. I love to keep the conversation going. As always, you can subscribe to my channel by clicking on my face down here. If you'd like more behind the scenes content like this, you can support the channel on Patreon, and here's some more videos. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye!